Have you ever wondered why some women never have to chase love, while others spend years running after men who never truly choose them back? It's not luck. It's not beauty. It's not even timing. It comes down to something far deeper, something almost invisible. Words. The right words at the right moment can unlock a man's deepest instincts, while the wrong ones can quietly push him away without you even realizing it. And here's the truth. Most women are never taught what to say, how to say it, or why certain phrases light a fire inside the male mind. That's why they end up giving their heart to someone who only gives them half of his. You felt it before, haven't you? That painful silence after you poured so much into someone who doesn't give it back. The texts that go unanswered, the calls that are short and distracted, the moments when you wonder if you're even worthy of being loved the way you deserve. Those nights when you lie awake, replaying every word you said, asking yourself if you scared away or if you simply weren't enough. What if it's not about being enough? What if it's about unlocking a natural force in his mind that makes him see you differently, chase you fearlessly, and value you above anyone else? You see, men are not as complicated as we make them out to be. Psychology shows us that human behavior, especially in relationships, is driven by instinctive triggers. When certain emotional buttons are pressed, they create a sense of urgency, attraction, and desire that logic can't explain. That's why someone who once felt indifferent can suddenly find themselves obsessed. It's not magic, it's not manipulation, it's alignment with the way human connection is wired. And in this journey, I'll reveal 3 simple yet powerful phrases that awaken those instincts inside any man. Phrases most people never dare to say because they feel too bold, too risky, too forbidden. But here's the beautiful part. When you learn them, when you embody the confidence behind them, you'll no longer beg for attention. You'll no longer wait for crumbs of affection. You'll radiate a kind of strength that makes him chase you, not out of fear, not out of games, but out of a deep recognition that you are the rarest woman he's ever met. Imagine that shift for a moment. Imagine no longer asking, does he want me? But instead standing in the certainty that he does, because you spoke to his deepest instincts without apology. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share isn't just about romance. It's about reclaiming your voice, your power, your place in love. It's about learning that the words you speak carry energy, and when you choose them with courage, they reshape not just how a man sees you, but how you see yourself. By the end of this, you'll understand why most women never experience the kind of devotion they dream of, and why you will. Because the forbidden phrases are not really forbidden at all. They're the keys to breaking free from doubt, stepping into confidence, and allowing love to chase you instead of you chasing it. And once you feel the power of that, you'll never go back. Think about the times you've held back your true feelings, swallowing words because you were afraid of losing someone. You stayed silent when your heart was screaming, hoping that patience and kindness alone would be enough to make him see your value. Yet deep inside, you knew he couldn't feel the intensity of your love because you never gave him the words that would strike his soul. Silence can feel safe, but it also hides your power. The truth is, men do not fall for silence. They fall for clarity, for confidence, for the rare woman who dares to speak what others keep locked away. Psychologists have long known that human attraction is fueled by contrast. What is rare feels valuable. What is bold feels unforgettable. And what carries both vulnerability and strength leaves a mark on the mind that can't be erased. That is why the phrases you'll learn are so powerful. They combine vulnerability with courage. They show a man that you are not afraid to be seen, not afraid to express desire, not afraid to command love without begging for it. Most women tiptoe around this energy, but when you embrace it, you stop blending in and start standing out in a way that awakens his deepest instinct to pursue. This isn't about playing games, it's about embodying a truth that most people are too scared to live. Men chase what challenges them, but they stay with what inspires them. And inspiration is born from words that carry conviction. When you speak in a way that reflects both your worth and your heart, he feels something inside himself shift. He feels drawn, not by surface attraction, but by a magnetic pull he cannot explain. That is why words matter. That is why silence is not enough. That is why you must learn to speak the phrases that ignite this reaction. But before you can speak them, you need to understand the force behind them. Every word you choose carries an invisible energy. Neuroscience has proven that language doesn't just express thought, it shapes thought. When you tell yourself a story about who you are, your mind accepts it. When you speak that story aloud, others accept it too. If you speak words of doubt, people sense it. If you speak words of strength, people feel it. This is why the right phrases are so life-changing. They do not only reframe how he sees you, they reframe how you see yourself. Imagine a version of you who no longer fears rejection, a version who knows that every word leaving her lips reflects certainty, not desperation. A version who can look at a man and say something so simple, yet so powerful, that it echoes in his mind for days. That version of you already exists. She is not someone you need to become. She is someone you need to release. These forbidden phrases are not tricks. They are the natural language of a confident woman, a woman who values herself so much that she will never settle for being half loved. Stay present, because the moment you allow yourself to step into this energy, everything changes. The man who once seemed distracted suddenly becomes attentive. The one who gave excuses now gives effort. The chase begins not because you manipulated him, but because you revealed a rare strength he cannot walk away from. And when you experience that shift, you'll finally realize the power you've had all along, resting, waiting, ready to be spoken into existence. Every man carries within him a silent desire to feel chosen, not for what he does, not for what he gives, but for who he is at his core. Beneath the armor of confidence, beneath the distractions of daily life, there is a part of him that longs to feel irreplaceable. Most women never touch this part, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how. They think love is shown through endless giving, constant availability, or quiet patience. Yet what awakens the deepest pursuit in a man is not what you give him in silence, but what you give him in words that strike directly at his need to feel significant. One of the most powerful truths about attraction is that people do not chase what feels common. They chase what feels rare, what makes them feel alive, what confirms that they are worth more than the world has led them to believe. When a woman speaks words that mirror a man's hidden longing, she doesn't just capture his attention, she captures his imagination. Suddenly, he begins to see her not as another option, but as the only one. This is why your voice matters more than you realize. It is not simply sound. It is a force that writes itself into his memory, echoing long after the moment has passed. Think about it. How many times have you remembered a single sentence someone said to you years ago? Words have the power to brand themselves onto the heart. They shape the way we see others, and they shape the way we see ourselves. In relationships, the phrases you speak become the foundation of how he experiences you. If those phrases are full of doubt, apology, or fear, he will sense it. If those phrases are rooted in certainty, strength, and invitation, he will chase it. The difference is not in who you are, but in what you dare to speak into existence. What makes the phrases I will reveal so different is not just the words themselves, but the courage behind them. They require you to step into a level of confidence that most people are too afraid to touch. That is why they feel forbidden, not because they are wrong, but because they are rare. Most people hold back out of fear of rejection. They wait for permission. They tiptoe around desire. But when you release that fear, when you speak with a boldness that says, I know my value, you ignite something primal inside a man that compels him to move toward you with urgency. This urgency is not forced. It's not a game. It's a natural response to a truth he cannot ignore. When a man hears words that validate his worth while simultaneously challenging him to rise higher, he doesn't just want you. He needs to prove himself worthy of you. That is the essence of the chase, not desperation, not control, but the pursuit of something rare, something extraordinary, something that makes him feel alive in ways no one else ever has. And here lies the reward for you. Once you understand how to use your words as instruments of confidence, you will no longer fear being overlooked. You will no longer question your place in his life. You will no longer settle for waiting in the shadows, hoping he chooses you. You will know, with every fiber of your being, that your voice carries a power capable of shifting his world, and that knowledge alone will transform not only the way he sees you, but the way you see yourself. The first forbidden phrase is not complicated. It is not poetic or dressed in fancy language. It is simple, direct, and yet it carries a weight that most women are afraid to place on their lips. When spoken with confidence, it tells a man, I see you, and I value what I see. This phrase is powerful because it pierces through the noise of superficial compliments and touches the deeper need every man carries, the desire to feel recognized, not for his possessions, not for his status, but for his essence. It is the difference between saying what everyone else says and saying what no one else has the courage to express. Men live in a world that constantly measures them by achievement, performance, and competition. From a young age, they are taught that their worth is tied to what they produce, how strong they appear, how much they win. But inside, every man longs for someone who can strip away those layers and see the human beneath the armor. When you use words that give him that experience, you become unforgettable. You become the person who doesn't just notice what he does, but notices who he is. That is what sparks the chase. Not because you gave him flattery, but because you gave him something he craves more than anything: validation of his identity. The forbidden phrase is powerful not only for what it gives him, but for what it says about you. It shows that you are not afraid to speak what others hold back. It shows that you have the courage to make your feelings known without fear of rejection. That confidence is magnetic. Psychology tells us that certainty is one of the most attractive qualities a person can display. When you speak with certainty, it lowers his defenses and raises his desire to come closer. He is drawn not only to the meaning of your words, but to the energy behind them. It signals to him that you are rare, and rarity commands pursuit. Many people confuse attraction with mystery, thinking that silence will keep someone hooked. But the truth is, mystery without substance fades quickly. What endures is the emotional imprint you leave. A man doesn't chase a puzzle he can't solve. He chases a woman who awakens a fire inside him that he cannot extinguish. This is why these phrases work. They are not designed to confuse him, but to awaken him. They make him feel seen in a way that stirs both gratitude and urgency. Gratitude because he has finally found someone who understands him, and urgency because he knows he cannot let that kind of woman slip away. When you speak the first forbidden phrase, you are planting a seed that grows inside his mind long after the conversation is over. He replays your words, not because they were dramatic, but because they felt true. He remembers the tone in your voice, the confidence in your delivery, and the way it made him feel alive. That feeling becomes addictive. He begins to seek it, to crave it, and the only way to satisfy it is to come closer to you. That is the essence of the chase, not manipulation, not control, but the magnetic pull of authenticity. And here is the secret you must hold close. The power of these words does not come from the man you say them to, but from the woman who has the courage to say them. They work because they flow from a place of strength within you, a place that no rejection can touch. The moment you understand that, you stop fearing the outcome and start embracing the power of your voice. That is when everything begins to change. The second forbidden phrase carries an even sharper edge because it does something most women hesitate to do. It sets a boundary while igniting desire at the same time. It is not a phrase of softness or reassurance. It is a phrase of strength. One that tells a man, I will not settle for less than what I deserve. When spoken with conviction, it flips a switch in his mind, because suddenly you are no longer the woman who waits to be chosen. You are the woman who chooses, and that shift in energy is what makes him chase with intensity. Men are wired to value what they have to work for. Psychology has proven that the more effort someone invests in something, the more they value it. When you show a man through your words that you are not easily won, you create a powerful dynamic. You are not rejecting him. You are challenging him. You are telling him that your time, your energy, your heart are treasures, not commodities. And when he realizes that, his pursuit becomes instinctive. He wants to rise to meet the standard you have set. He wants to prove that he is worthy of the place you are willing to give in your life. This phrase feels forbidden because most people fear that boundaries will push others away. They think that by asking for more, they risk losing everything. But the opposite is true. Weakness repels while strength attracts. A woman who is unafraid to speak her truth is a woman who stands apart. She becomes the challenge, the prize, the one who is worth fighting for. And here is the paradox. When you demand more, you don't lose love, you invite deeper love. Because only a man who is serious, only a man who sees your worth will step forward to meet you there. There is an old belief that love requires sacrifice at the expense of self. That in order to keep a man, you must bend, compromise, and lower your voice until your knees disappear. But every study on healthy, lasting relationships tells us the same thing. Boundaries are not walls, they are magnets. They don't push love away, they hold it in place. They create safety, respect, and commitment. When you speak this forbidden phrase, you are not closing the door. You are opening it wider, but only for someone strong enough to walk through. Imagine the way his mind races when you say it. Suddenly he realizes he cannot coast. He cannot take you for granted. He cannot half love you and still expect to keep you. That urgency drives him to act, to chase, to prove himself in ways that surprise even him. He becomes more intentional, more present, more invested because he feels the weight of what is at stake. You, the rare woman who knows her worth, who will not shrink herself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. And this is where the transformation happens within you. Because the more you speak words that honor your worth, the less you tolerate anything less than love that is whole and real. You begin to walk differently, to carry yourself differently, to radiate an energy that cannot be ignored. That energy alone is magnetic. It tells the world that you are not afraid of being alone because you would rather wait for the extraordinary than settle for the ordinary. And that, more than anything, is what makes a man chase with passion, urgency, and devotion. The third forbidden phrase is the one that transforms everything because it awakens the deepest instinct inside a man. The instinct to protect, to commit, to give everything for someone he cannot bear to lose. This phrase is not about praise, and it is not about boundaries. It is about invitation. It says to him, without hesitation, I trust you with a part of me no one else has. Those words carry a weight beyond attraction, beyond desire. They create intimacy so powerful that he feels a bond he cannot easily break. And when a man feels trusted, when he feels chosen to hold a piece of your truth, he will move mountains to prove himself worthy of that trust. Trust is rare. The world teaches us to guard ourselves, to keep our walls high, to reveal little so we cannot be hurt. And yet, the paradox is this. The moment you allow yourself to show vulnerability, you ignite strength in the other person. Psychology confirms it. Vulnerability creates connection faster than perfection ever will. A man may admire your beauty. He may enjoy your company. But it is your willingness to open your heart that makes him chase you. Not because you are weak, but because you are brave enough to show him that you believe in his strength to hold you. This phrase feels forbidden because it goes against the fear most people carry. To trust is to risk. To trust is to let go of control. And yet, that risk is what makes it powerful. A man can walk away from someone who flatters him. He can walk away from someone who challenges him. But he cannot easily walk away from someone who trusts him. Because when you trust him, you awaken his protector, his provider, his instinct to secure what matters most. You shift him from casual to committed, from uncertain to all in. That is the force of this phrase. When spoken with authenticity, this phrase becomes a mirror. It reflects to him the man he wants to be. It says, I see more in you than you may even see in yourself. That reflection pulls him closer because it validates his highest potential. He begins to see you not just as a woman he desires, but as the woman who believes in his greatness. And belief is fuel. It drives him to rise, to chase, to become the man worthy of the faith you've given him. But here's the truth you must hold close. This phrase only works when it comes from a place of genuine strength. Trust is not given blindly. It is not thrown at anyone. It is offered with discernment, with the quiet power of a woman who knows her worth and chooses carefully. That is why it carries so much weight. Because when a man feels chosen by a woman who could have anyone, he understands that her trust is not a gift he can take lightly. He knows he must protect it, honor it, and fight for it. And the beauty is that as you speak this phrase, you also transform yourself. You step into a space where fear no longer controls you. You realize that your power does not come from holding back, but from choosing when to open. You become both soft and unshakable, vulnerable yet untouchable, and that balance is magnetic. It makes you unforgettable. It makes him chase, not because he is forced to, but because he cannot imagine letting go of the woman who gave him the most powerful gift of all, her trust. When you understand the power of these phrases, you begin to realize something extraordinary. The chase was never about the man. It was always about the energy you bring into the connection. A man does not chase because he is manipulated. He chases because he feels something in you that he cannot find anywhere else. He feels alive in your presence. He feels seen in your words. He feels challenged by your boundaries. He feels elevated by your trust. That combination is so rare that it disrupts the patterns of his mind. It pulls him out of the ordinary and places him face to face with something extraordinary. And extraordinary is never ignored. The reason most women never experience this level of devotion is because they have been conditioned to believe that love is earned through sacrifice, silence, or endless giving. They are told to be agreeable, to hold back their needs, to wait for attention rather than command it. But what psychology teaches us is clear. People value what reflects strength, not what bends in weakness. When you step into your power, when you speak these forbidden words without apology, you stop being the woman who waits, and you become the woman who is pursued. And here is the shift that changes everything. You realize that it was never about learning tricks to make someone chase you. It was about awakening the version of yourself that no longer questions her worth. Because when you embody this confidence, when your words and energy align, the chase becomes inevitable. It is not forced. It is not begged for. It is simply the natural response to a presence that cannot be overlooked. Think about how it feels to finally release the fear of rejection, to no longer hesitate before speaking your truth, to no longer waste nights wondering if you're enough. Imagine the freedom of walking into a connection, knowing that your words carry the power to inspire love rather than beg for it. That is the transformation these phrases bring. They don't just shift his behavior, they shift your identity. They remind you of the force you always carried, but perhaps buried under years of doubt. Men are drawn to women who embody both softness and strength. Too much softness without strength feels fragile. Too much strength without softness feels cold. But when the two meet, when your voice carries compassion and conviction together, the balance becomes irresistible. It is this balance that makes him lean in, that makes him fight to keep your attention, that makes him chase with a fire he cannot put out. Because he knows, on some primal level, that he has found someone unforgettable. And the most powerful part is this. Once you unlock this energy, it does not fade. It is not dependent on a specific man or a specific moment. It becomes a part of you. You carry it into every interaction, every relationship, every room you walk into, and people feel it. They sense the difference. They respond to it without even knowing why. That is the hidden reward of mastering these forbidden words. They do not only make a man chase you, they make the world respond to you differently. And once you taste that level of power, you will never go back to the version of yourself that doubted, settled, or stayed silent. You will rise into the woman you were always meant to be. The moment you begin to live in this energy, something profound happens inside you. You stop needing validation because you already embody it. You stop fearing loss because you already know your worth cannot be diminished. And this shift is magnetic, not just to men, but to every human being you encounter. People feel drawn to those who radiate certainty because certainty is rare. The world is full of doubt, insecurity, and hesitation. When you stand in contrast to that, when your words and presence declare that you know who you are, you become unforgettable. This is why men chase women who speak with courage. It isn't only about the phrases themselves, it's about what those phrases reveal. They reveal that you do not live in fear. They reveal that you are not afraid to walk away from anything that does not honor your heart. They reveal that you are not playing small to keep someone comfortable. And that truth creates an intensity that no game, no strategy, no manipulation could ever match. Because real attraction is not built on tricks. It is built on authenticity delivered with strength. Psychology tells us that people are drawn to those who trigger emotional arousal, whether positive or negative. It's why passion burns brighter than indifference. The forbidden phrases work because they break patterns. They create emotional shifts. They take a man from passive to alert, from casual to intentional, from comfortable to challenged. And once he feels that shift, he cannot ignore it. He feels compelled to pursue because his emotions are now invested. And investment is the foundation of devotion. But here's the deeper truth that matters most. These words are not only about influencing him, they are about liberating you. They are about freeing you from silence, from fear, from the belief that you must wait to be chosen. They are about reminding you that your voice is your power. Every time you speak one of these phrases with conviction, you strengthen the roots of your own confidence. You remind yourself that you are the one who decides how you will be treated, how you will be loved, and how your story will unfold. This is where the transformation deepens, Because once you realize that your words can shape not only how a man responds to you, but also how you see yourself, you begin to use them with intention in every area of your life. You start to speak into existence the reality you desire. You affirm your worth, your boundaries, your vision. And as you do, the world responds. Opportunities open, relationships strengthen, connections deepen, all because you dared to use your voice with clarity and courage. And the chase that follows is not just his, it becomes yours. You begin to chase the life you deserve, the love you dream of, the version of yourself that is unstoppable. You no longer wait in hesitation. You move with purpose. You live with conviction. And everything around you shifts to meet that energy. Because life has a way of bending toward those who are unafraid to claim what is theirs. And that is the hidden gift behind these forbidden phrases. They awaken not only his pursuit of you, but your pursuit of your highest self. The chase that begins when you embody this energy is not fleeting. It is not shallow. It is not built on surface level attraction that fades with time. It is born from a deep recognition that you are a woman who carries both mystery and truth, both strength and softness, both boundaries and vulnerability. That rare combination makes you unforgettable. A man who encounters this balance does not simply want you, he feels compelled to keep you. Because losing you would mean losing the very energy that awakens the best parts of himself. This is where the power of words becomes undeniable. Every phrase you choose is like a key opening a different door in his mind and heart. Some doors lead to admiration, some to respect, some to desire. But when your words align with your inner certainty, they open the door to devotion. Devotion is not something that can be forced. It cannot be begged for. It cannot be demanded. It is a natural response to a presence that feels both rare and real. And that is exactly what your words create when they are infused with confidence and authenticity. Human beings are wired to seek emotional contrast. When everything feels predictable, the mind grows numb. But when you bring both unpredictability and grounding, when your words carry both challenge and reassurance, you activate his deepest instincts. He feels alive because you are not giving him what every other voice is giving him. You are giving him a new experience, one that requires him to rise, to act, to pursue. And that pursuit is what binds him closer because people value what they fight to keep. At the same time, the transformation happening within you becomes even more powerful. With every phrase spoken from strength, you step further into your own identity. You begin to realize that love is not about hoping someone chooses you. It is about choosing yourself so fully that others have no choice but to rise to your standard. That realization changes the way you move. It changes the way you love. It changes the way you allow yourself to be loved. You no longer accept half effort because you know your worth commands more. And here is where your confidence becomes unstoppable. When a man sees that you are not afraid of being alone, when he senses that your life is already full, already meaningful, already overflowing with self-respect, he knows he cannot approach you with anything less than his best. That pressure is not heavy. It is inspiring. It drives him to give more, to chase harder, to commit deeper, because he understands that you are not waiting in fear. You are standing in abundance. And abundance attracts abundance. The energy of these forbidden words is not just about igniting desire in him. It is about awakening power in you. It is about stepping out of the shadows of hesitation and into the light of certainty. It is about rewriting the story of your relationship so that you are no longer the one running after love, but the one standing still while love runs towards you. That is the true transformation. That is the hidden promise. And once you feel that shift within yourself, you will never again question whether you are worthy of being chased. You will know that you are always the one worth chasing. When you live in this state of certainty, you begin to attract not just love, but a higher quality of love. You no longer find yourself surrounded by half-hearted efforts or shallow promises. Instead, you draw in the kind of devotion that is consistent, intentional, and undeniable, because men and people in general mirror the energy you project. If your energy is rooted in doubt, you invite inconsistency. If your energy is grounded in strength, you invite stability. And when your words carry the vibration of strength and vulnerability together, they command a pursuit that is steady, powerful, and lasting. This is why the forbidden phrases hold so much power. They are not spells. They are not tricks. They are reflections of the self-belief you cultivate within. They remind both you and him that love is not a transaction, but a transformation. He does not chase you because you manipulated his emotions. He chases you because you activated something inside him that makes him want to give more, be more, and rise to more. That is the essence of attraction that endures. It is not shallow lust. It is inspired devotion. The human mind craves meaning. We are not drawn to what is empty. We are drawn to what feels significant. When you speak words that reveal your standards, your trust, and your ability to see beyond the surface, you become meaningful in his world. You shift from being someone he enjoys to someone he cannot forget. And once meaning has been attached to you, once he associates you with the feelings of aliveness, worth, and purpose, his pursuit becomes relentless. He does not chase because he has to. He chases because he cannot imagine not doing so. But the deepest beauty of this shift is not in how he responds. It is in how you rise. Each phrase you speak reinforces a truth that expands beyond love. It tells you that your voice matters. It tells you that your needs are valid. It tells you that your standards are sacred. And the more you live in that truth, the more you elevate every part of your life. You stop shrinking in friendships, in work, in opportunities, because you realize that the same confidence that makes a man chase you is the confidence that makes life itself open to you. Confidence at its core is not arrogance. It is clarity. It is knowing who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer settle for. And clarity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who carry it because it creates safety. It creates direction. It creates certainty in a world where most people are lost in confusion. When you embody this clarity, you do not have to beg for love, attention, or respect. It comes to you naturally because you have already aligned yourself with the energy that commands it. This is the hidden truth that most overlook. The chase is not about him running after you. It is about you walking so firmly in your worth that he has no choice but to follow. And in that walk, you are not rushing, not doubting, not questioning. You are simply being strong, being clear, being radiant. And in that being, you create the space for love to come toward you, not by force, but by the natural law that value is always pursued. And when you embody that value, the chase never ends. It only deepens. When you allow yourself to stand in this radiant certainty, something remarkable happens inside of you. The need to prove yourself begins to dissolve. You stop over-explaining, over-giving, and overextending just to be chosen. Instead, you become the chooser. You shift from hoping someone sees your worth to knowing your worth is already undeniable. That shift is magnetic. It changes the energy you bring into every interaction, and it commands a level of respect that no amount of chasing on your part could ever create. Psychology teaches us that people are drawn to what feels rare, precious, and not easily replaceable. And when you carry yourself as someone who knows her value, you naturally embody that rarity, not because you are trying to play games or pretend to be someone you are not, but because you have accepted that your energy, your heart, and your love are sacred. Sacred things are never thrown to just anyone. They are revealed carefully, intentionally, and with honor. That is what makes a man chase, not just desire, but the awareness that what you carry cannot be found everywhere. When you speak with strength, when you allow silence to do the work of showing you are unshaken, you send a message that his actions must rise to meet your energy. You teach him without saying it outright that half-hearted effort cannot touch you. And this is where true attraction deepens, because men, at their core, are built to rise when challenged by a standard that inspires them. They do not want to chase what is easy. They want to chase what is worth it. And when you present yourself as worth it, every instinct inside him is activated to pursue. But this is not just about him. This is about you remembering that the way you are treated is a reflection of the energy you allow. You no longer tolerate crumbs because you know you deserve the feast. You no longer wait around for clarity because you know confusion is already an answer. You no longer bend yourself into pieces just to fit into someone else's world because you know you are already whole. And the moment you begin living in that wholeness, you stop begging for love and start attracting it. Every powerful woman who has ever commanded deep devotion understood this truth. It was never about chasing approval. It was about embodying presence. Presence is the quiet confidence that fills the room without trying. It is the calm assurance that you are enough, that you have nothing to prove, and that anyone who wants to be near you must align with that truth. This presence does not shout. It does not demand. It simply exists, and its very existence pulls others closer. Think about what happens inside of you when you meet someone who radiates certainty. You feel drawn, intrigued, curious. You want to know more, be closer, understand what makes them so steady. That is exactly what happens when you embody your own certainty. You do not just catch his eye, you hold his focus. You do not just spark his interest, you capture his devotion. And it all begins with the choice to stand tall in who you are, refusing to shrink, refusing to doubt, refusing to apologize for the depth of your worth. Because once you choose that, the chase is no longer something you worry about. It becomes inevitable. It becomes natural. It becomes the reflection of a truth you already knew, that the one who walks with clarity will always be followed. And when you live in that truth, love is no longer a struggle. It is a pursuit that never stops. The beauty of this transformation is that it does not only change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. Every time you choose strength over insecurity, every time you hold silence instead of chasing answers, every time you stand in your clarity instead of begging for reassurance, you are rewriting the story of your own worth. And with each choice, your confidence grows. That confidence is not loud, it is not boastful, it is not brittle. It is steady, grounded, unshakable. It becomes the foundation on which everything else in your life begins to rise. This is why people respond so powerfully to those who own their value. We are wired to respect what respects itself. When you show that you value your time, your heart, and your presence, others cannot help but rise to match it. They sense they are in the presence of something significant, and significance is irresistible. It is what makes someone lean closer, listen deeper, and fight harder to stay. You are not simply another option. You become the standard that reshapes how they think, how they act, and how they love. What many people forget is that attraction is not only about beauty, charm, or chemistry. Those things spark interest, but they do not sustain pursuit. What sustains it is the emotional experience you create. When someone is with you and they feel challenged yet safe, inspired yet comforted, stretched yet grounded, they crave more. It is the contrast that captivates. And when your words and your presence embody both softness and strength, you become unforgettable. You awaken something deeper than desire. You awaken devotion. And devotion is powerful. It is what makes someone fight for you in moments of doubt. It is what makes them choose you even when distractions appear. It is what makes them invest in you with consistency instead of excuses. Devotion is not sparked by giving more of yourself away. It is sparked by standing in such unshakable worth that they realize losing you would mean losing a chance at the extraordinary. That is what ignites the chase, not manipulation, not games, but the awareness that your presence cannot be taken lightly. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. At first, you may have to remind yourself not to shrink, not to settle, not to silence your needs. But soon it turns into who you are. And when it becomes who you are, you no longer have to think about what to say or how to act. You simply exist in your truth, and that truth radiates so powerfully that it reshapes the dynamics around you. You speak less, yet your words carry more weight. You do less, yet your presence commands more impact. You give less of your energy to things that drain you, and in turn, you receive more from those who value you. This is the shift that changes everything. Because once you step into this power, you stop fearing whether someone will chase you. You stop worrying about how to hold their attention. You stop doubting if you are enough. Instead, you know without question that the right ones will rise, the wrong ones will fall away, and you will remain steady in your worth regardless of who stays or goes. That is the highest form of confidence, and it is the very energy that makes love come to you with force, with passion, with certainty. And once you live there, you will never settle for less again when you stop settling. Something profound awakens inside you. You no longer measure your value through someone else's attention or affection. You no longer wait for a man's actions to tell you if you are worthy. You already know that knowing changes the way you walk into every moment. It changes the way you look at yourself in the mirror, the way you carry yourself in a room, the way you speak when you open your mouth. There is a calm power in you that can't be faked, a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. It is the kind of energy that people feel before you even say a word. This is why the ones who cross your path start to respond differently. They feel the strength in your silence. They sense the depth in your presence. They see the way you no longer grasp for love, but instead allow love to come toward you. That shift is magnetic. It pulls them closer, not because you are chasing, but because You are no longer afraid to be still. Stillness reveals certainty. Certainty creates trust, and trust is the foundation on which true pursuit is built. Psychologists tell us that human beings are wired to seek out what makes them feel secure and inspired at the same time. Most relationships fail because one of those elements is missing. Too much comfort without challenge creates boredom. Too much challenge without comfort creates instability. But when you embody both, you become unforgettable. You become the rare balance that ignites desire while grounding it in safety. And when a man feels both in your presence, chasing you isn't an option, it becomes an instinct. But here is the most important part. You must first give yourself what you want from others. You cannot expect consistency from someone if you are inconsistent with yourself. You cannot expect loyalty if you betray your own needs. You cannot expect effort if you continuously choose situations that require you to settle. The moment you turn inward and give yourself what you seek, you break the cycle. You stop asking, will he choose me? And instead declare, I already choose me. That is the energy that turns the chase into something effortless. It is not about withholding love. It is about elevating it. You raise the standard for how you are treated by raising the standard for how you treat yourself. You no longer pour endlessly into others while starving your own soul. You no longer say yes when your heart screams no. You no longer silence your truth out of fear of being abandoned, because you now understand abandoning yourself is the deepest form of loss, and honoring yourself is the ultimate act of attraction. When you speak from this place, your words carry weight that cannot be ignored. You don't need to repeat yourself. You don't need to beg to be heard. You don't need to compete for attention. You are heard because your energy speaks before your voice does. That energy is undeniable. It communicates without effort, without force, without pretense. It tells the world, I am here. I am enough. I am not afraid to walk away from what does not honor me. And when that message is clear, the chase begins. Because value that knows its own worth will always be pursued. This is where transformation takes root. Not in changing him, not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering yourself. And once you reach that place, you don't have to wonder if love will find you. Love cannot resist you, because the moment you become whole within, everything and everyone outside you reorganizes to match the power you now embody. When you live from this place of wholeness, something extraordinary happens. Your energy shifts from seeking to attracting. You are no longer moving through life with an emptiness that begs to be filled. You move with a fullness that naturally overflows. That overflow is magnetic. It is what makes people lean closer without even understanding why. It is what makes a man look at you and feel a pull he cannot explain. Attraction rooted in need fades quickly, but attraction rooted in abundance only grows stronger with time. This is the secret many never learn. They keep chasing, pleading, proving, hoping that someone will finally see them, but they don't realize that what makes you unforgettable is not how much you give away, it is how much you carry within. When you carry yourself with abundance, you are never afraid of loss. You are never desperate for attention. You are never shaken by silence, because your value does not rise and fall with someone else's actions. It is constant, steady, undeniable, and that steadiness is irresistible. Human psychology is wired to desire what feels unshakable. In a world filled with uncertainty, people cling to what feels grounded. When you embody groundedness, you offer something rare. You offer stability without control, confidence without arrogance, openness without fear. That combination is powerful. It creates the sense that being near you is not just pleasant, it is transformative. And once someone associates you with transformation, they cannot let go. The chase becomes inevitable, not because you forced it, but because you became the very experience they crave most. Every time you choose your worth, you reinforce this power. Every time you refuse to shrink, you strengthen it. Every time you let go of what does not serve you, you magnify it. This is not a single choice, it is a daily practice. A practice of remembering who you are, honoring what you feel, and standing tall in what you deserve. Over time, that practice becomes your identity. And once it becomes your identity, it radiates effortlessly into every corner of your life. You don't have to think about how to attract, how to hold attention, or how to be chosen. You simply are. And that is where true freedom lies. Freedom from the anxiety of wondering if you are enough. freedom from the exhaustion of constantly proving your value, freedom from the fear of being left behind. When you carry this freedom, you move differently. Your words soften but deepen. Your gaze steadies but warms. Your presence calms but ignites. You embody the paradox that captivates the human heart. Strong yet soft, steady yet passionate, independent yet open. That paradox is the essence of attraction, and it cannot be manufactured. It must be lived. So when you step fully into this, the dynamic of love transforms. You no longer worry about chasing because you understand the deeper truth. Love is not meant to be hunted. It is meant to be drawn. And what draws it is not desperation, but the undeniable magnetism of a soul that knows its own worth. Once you live in that truth, you stop waiting for love to validate you. You realize love is not the reward for your worth. It is the reflection of it. And with that realization, you become unstoppable.